Well, he stays true to form and leads out for $320. And the hijack calls with almost no hesitation. My number one concern here is Jack's full. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Okay, enough playing around. Enough playing around in this room. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get into a game now because we're already down on the strip. So let's just find out what's going on and where it's going on, and let's get into it. How about that? There's people already in the pool down there. It's too early to be in a pool. So well rested and in good spirits from the previous night's meetup game / poker room grand opening at the Venetian, I arrive at the Bellagio ready to go. I had been at the table having various conversations and whatnot about the Venetian opening and forgot to hit record until about 20 minutes into this session. But basically all that happened was a series of folds anyway, so lucky you. One of the most notable hands, although not the most notable one, we'll get to that later, happens pretty early in the session. The hijack opens to $40 and the cutoff flats. I look down at pocket tens in the big blind. Normally, I'm squeezing here the vast majority of the time, but honestly, I hadn't seen the hijack open anything and his 4x opening size sort of dissuaded me. I just call. 8 of hearts, 8 of clubs, 5 of clubs. Not a bad flop for pocket tens. I'm not donking, but not a bad flop at all. The hijack continues for $70 and the cutoff calls. I'm not going anywhere. And I call behind. The turn pairs the 5. I check and the hijack checks. The cutoff now springs into action, quickly sliding $200 into the middle. His bet is sizable, but I've seen him make a similar play with a flush draw just a few hands before. It would be silly to be betting a flush draw on this double paired board, but not being silly isn't a requirement for this game. Plus, neither I nor the hijack is really giving off super strength. All that being said, me folding is probably my best play. Do I really want to call here and then play 5th Street Chicken on the next card? Screw that. I play bad. I didn't come here to fold. I called at $200. The hijack hems and haws for a bit, but eventually folds. Heads up.
Hot diggity dog. An embarrassment of riches, as they say.
How good do I run? I'm not the god of luck or anything, but I bet we're related. The 10 of clubs. So not only does that bring in my obvious full house, but it also completes the useless flush draw. I could check here and set this guy up for a monster check raise, but my call on the turn says that I either have an 8 or a 5, and I don't want him to have any excuse to check his hand back. I decide to lead in big. I make it $900 and get snap called so quickly that I instantly regretted not just shoving it all in. I turn over my hand and he angrily mucks. I feel you, dog. I just played badly. From that hand forward, until I get pulled from this must-move table and placed in the main game, that same 5-seat made it a point to be in every hand I opened. He was coming after me, but coming after me in that way non-aggressive players do. By calling, not raising. So I couldn't play around much. I had to just have it. That kind of sucks because it's hard to have it all the damn time. The main game. Being moved to the main game, that's fine. The 6-seat is even fine. But what's better is immediately being thrust into a bomb pod in which, well, let me just show you what happened. With whole cards. And this is what allows me to move to seat 2 and thus a much better vlogging angle. That's the best. Just bomb pots being bomb pots.
Do you want to take picture tonight?
I'll wait. Yeah. Shortly after moving to the 2-seat, I get my very first opportunity to play a hand badly. So I take it. The low jack, a pretty aggressive player that we will tangle with a lot this session, opens to $50. Yep, $50. That's just his size. Everyone folds and I call from the big blind holding ace-3 suited. So far, so good. 3, 10, deuce, rainbow. Action is on me, and being out of position and the pre-flop caller, I check. He continues for another $50. I have middle pair, but with the 10 of spades, I have those working too. So I call. Sure. The 10 of clubs appears on the turn, and I donk for $70. Turn donks are a thing sometimes, but probably not on this card. I don't have an overwhelming advantage over him when it comes to holding a 10, so this is stupid. He calls. The river 9 of spades shows up and... now what? I started telling the story that I'm holding a 10, so I should just continue with that story, right? Right? So why do I check? I'll tell you why. 'Cause playing bad is just easier. He checks behind, and guess what? He rivered a pair with ace-9 offsuit. So we both played it badly, it's just... someone has to win, I guess. So does the playing badly tour continue into this next hand? I'll let you decide. Action folds to me, and from the button, I open 8-5 suited to $30. That's fine. Both the small and big blinds call. 8, 10, 4 with 2 clubs. Both blinds check, and I check it back. Meh. I should probably just bet, but whatever. I can go either way. The turn 5 of diamonds appears, and both blinds check again. Okay, now I have to bet. I have a pair, for God's sakes. I bet $50 and only the big blind decides to remain in this contest. The River Deuce of Hearts is our last community card. Is that a nothing? The big blind checks again. Okay, here's where this hand gets weird. In real time, I honestly didn't realize that the turn gave me 2 pair. I legit thought I only had an 8. How I didn't notice this is beyond me. So in thinking that I had an 8, I needed to find a bet size that would cause a hand like 10-9 or King-8 to be indifferent to calling or folding. If the villain has Ace-3, well, I'm just going to lose either way. So in my mind, I'm bluffing here. I'm redlining. This isn't a value bet. Whatever you want to call it, it works. We get the fold.
Although it's fun to tell ourselves we played the hand like Philip Dennis Ivy Jr., the most likely scenario here is that you were ahead post-flop and your $160 river bet was highly unnecessary.
Yeah. Welcome to the center stage. Watch me when I demonstrate. Answer this. What's a featherweight to a renegade? Pitiful. Who'd have thought I'd make it to the city lights? Listen up. Stay up out my lane. That's a big advice. Write it down. Take a second. You gotta deal with it. Never lie. True vibe. I keep it real with it. Trust that. Get a bag. It's like I'm field tripping. Cleats on. To the dirt. I'm in the field with it. If you trying to have a war, it's a war.
I'm on a roll now, and my aim is to keep that roll going. In this one of the stickier players opens from under the gun to $30, and we execute a 3-bet from the cutoff holding Ace-Jack suited. He calls. 8-5 deuce, 2 clubs, 1 spade. He checks, and a good percentage of the time here, I may just c-bet this flop. However, with him being so damn sticky, I decide to just check it back. He can have overpairs, but the turn 6 of spades itself shouldn't really change much about an under-the-gun opening range. But he decides to lead out and take this pot from me. It's the spade part of that card that keeps me hanging around. The river ace of hearts is a beauty, and our villain checks again. So the spades missed, and I don't expect him to bet turn and then check back 2 pair plus type hands on the river, nor a big ace. So I most likely have the best hand here. I don't want to go absolutely crazy with sizing, but I do want to get looked up by something like Ace-7 suited, Ace-4 suited, Ace-3 suited, etc. This player isn't folding those hands pre-flop to a 3-bet, 0 chance. I make it $240 if he wants to quench his curiosity. But he folds. Less than an orbit later, this hand begins with the under the gun player opening a $50. Like I said, that's just his size. The cutoff calls, but little do either of them know, I've just looked down at 2 red aces. My game time decision was to raise to $220. Had I thought about who these 2 villains are a smidge more, I probably would have made it closer to $300, or hell, even $350. Adhesiveness is strong with these 2. The under the gun player calls, and not surprisingly, so does the cutoff. Oh boy, 3 ways to the flop we go. Jack 4-4. I continue for $250, and the under the gun player is done with this hand. Not the cutoff though. He calls my flop c-bet. The turn queen of spades appears, and even while I'm editing this, I'm still torn between continuing betting or checking this card. Both have merits versus a villain that has the ability to attempt stealing pots when checked to. In game, I tank, then check, and unfortunately, he checks it back. River ace of spades. Well, I wasn't expecting that, like, at all. My brain fogs a bit. After a very long tank, I cut out and begin sliding 600 and... Oh. He folds. We are at the probable half point for this session, so I decided it's time to step out and do the whole update thing. The game is it's okay. It's nothing to write home about. I'm pretty much card dead, playing only when I'm pretty sure I'll flop a set. That's been my strategy for today. If I pick up a hand that looks like it has the potential to flop a set, I'll play it. And then I'll flop a set. Other than doing a guy dirty with pocket tens and rivering a set with pocket aces, I think I've won a couple smaller pots. I won one with ace jack. And other than that, I've just been folding. The players at my table are actually kind of competent, so I can't get away with a lot of the shenanigans that I normally get away with. But we still got time. We got time for shenanigans and tomfoolery. So we're going to see what we can make happen in these next few hours. We'll see. I donk. $650. As a side note, because I know some of you are thinking, man, I want this guy in my game. I'm going to say that you probably don't.
That's as weird as hell.
Big pot, dug up in notorious so glorious. Run it up, no, I got the drive and I'm flooring it. Catch it with the stars, got me looking like a horoscope. Never take a loss since I listen, I got more to go. Automatic, when I'm on, I got.
Do you not realize this is a game meant to send your adversaries into financial ruin?
I ain't moving here with a bare face. If you trying to have a war.
And now we're headed to the flop 3 ways. Please, poker gods, just don't flop me dead. Jack, 8, 7 with 2 hearts. Damn it.
Because I shouldn't be recording and driving. It's very dangerous.